If you can't do the time, don't do the crime. Today, we're counting down the top 10 criminals who freaked out after sentencing. Starting off this list a little bit differently is number 10, Trey Relford. A unique reaction to say the least. In 2015, Trey Alexander Relford found himself in a bad situation after he was involved in taking the life of a boy named Salahuddin. Salahuddin was a delivery driver for Pizza Hut and during a delivery was attacked and robbed by Trey and two others. Trey was found guilty and received a sentence of 31 years. After he was pronounced guilty by the court, the father of the victim gave a statement in which he forgave Trey. The father was a follower of the Islamic faith and despite losing a child, was able to forgive Trey. Trey and the victim's father shared a hug and cried before Trey was sent away, a truly astonishing moment. Moving on to number 9, Ryan Stone. In some places, a life sentence is 20 years. In other places, it's 25, but for Ryan Stone, it's more like 160. Ryan Stone was tried and found guilty of leading police on an extended high-speed car chase across 60 miles. Needless to say, he racked up quite a few charges, including attempting to end someone's life and neglecting a child stemming from his carjacking of an SUV with a 4-year-old in the back seat. Stone tried to pretend that drugs were involved to take the blame off of him, but during his sentencing, lawyers played recordings of Stone taken while he was in jail in which he bragged about making the news and how stupid the victims were. He can be seen laughing in the video, but crying in court. Number 8, Keith Ferguson. Sometimes when you've lost everything, the only thing you have left to do is accept it with quiet grace. Or you could be like Keith Ferguson and throw a temper tantrum like an undisciplined child. In 2014, Keith Ferguson was found guilty for ending the lives of his wife and her father. Keith received a sentence of life with no parole. He refused to stand or raise his hand during the sentencing when asked. Instead, he swore and yelled at people in the court. He told the court he didn't care that he ended their lives. When he was finally removed from the courtroom, he ended his hissy fit by saying, "See everyone in hell." Number 7, Randall Moore. Remorse is an excellent way to ease the pain of a harsh sentence. When you realize you've done something wrong, it's easier to accept the time given to you by the judge, but that wasn't the case for Randall Moore. In 2012, Randall Moore was found guilty of taking his wife's life as well as attacking a cop with the intention to end the officer's life as well. In a very creepy and unsettling fashion, Randall showed zero remorse for his disgusting actions. During the hearing, the victim's mother was reading an impact statement when Randall interrupted her to tell her that her daughter hated her and that she was a loser. He later stated that he had no remorse. He blamed his wife, her mother, and anyone else he felt was responsible for not letting him see his son. Moore even told the cop he attacked that he could have ended his life if he wanted to, but decided to do the cop a favor and let him live. Number 6, Louis Bracamonte. In 2018, Louis Bracamonte was on trial for ending the lives of 2 police officers as well as injuring another cop and a civilian. Louis was a Mexican convicted drug dealer who was staying in the US illegally. He received the death penalty upon recommendation from the jury. His case earned national attention when the Trump administration ran ads blaming Louis' actions on Democrats. Cable networks such as NBC, Fox, and CNN banned the ads from running, along with Facebook, who also refused to allow the ad on their platform. He frequently laughed about his crimes during the trial and would even directly ask the state to execute him during outbursts of yelling and screaming. Number 5, Michael Swanson. Michael Swanson was just 18 years old when he was on trial for ending the lives of 2 different people. The first victim was a store clerk who lost his life during an armed robbery, and the second victim also lost his life because of a different armed robbery. Swanson can be seen in court footage laughing as his verdict was being pronounced. The condemned teenager began to smile when the judge told him that he'd be spending the rest of his life in prison. The judge then threatened to give Swanson more jail time, seeing as he clearly had zero remorse, though it's tough to say whether or not that threat holds any weight, as Swanson would already be serving a life sentence. Number 4, Manson Bryant. Well, it can't be a good trial if the man on the stand is named Manson. Manson Bryant was a career criminal who was convicted of robbery, kidnapping, and a 2018 armed robbery. At his sentencing, he spoke on his behalf about how he had made many bad decisions in his life. He mentioned how drugs were involved in influencing those decisions and that he was remorseful and trying his best to improve. Upon learning of his 22-year prison sentence, Manson had a full outburst in which he called the judge racist and yelled profanities at the courtroom. In a 4-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled that Manson Bryant's outburst might have warranted a contempt of court finding. However, the trial judge could not increase the prison sentence by 6 years. The court concluded that Bryant's outbursts were a result of his lack of remorse for the crimes he had committed. Number 3. Larry Nassar. Lawrence Nassar is a convicted sexual offender and former team doctor for the United States national gymnastics team. Lawrence was investigated after accusations surfaced that he had been SA young women and underage girls on the team for decades. He was later found guilty in a court of law in 2018. In addition to a 60-year jail term for possessing obscene images of minors, Larry was given a sentence ranging from 40 to 175 years in prison for multiple SA charges. In the chilling court video, the father of 3 of the SA victims can be seen begging the judge to allow him 5 minutes alone with Larry. Obviously, the judge denies him, so the father took things into his own hands and attempted to meet his own justice in the courtroom when he attacked Larry. Number 2. Alan McCarthy Jr. Alan McCarthy Jr. initially ended up in court over a seemingly common child custody issue, but his anger issues got the best of him, resulting in a 20-year prison sentence. Alan threatened to end the life of the judge as well as several lawyers and the unborn baby of one of the lawyers. Hearing the news of his sentence, he had another rageful outburst and cursed out the court, calling the judge a liar and spewing racial slurs across the courtroom. Alan had to be dragged out of the courtroom by security. Number 1. Darrell Brooks. For a person to receive 6 life sentences, they probably did something unimaginably terrible, and that's exactly what Darrell Brooks did. In 2021, Darrell drove his SUV through a crowd of people attending a Christmas parade. He racked up 76 charges and brutally ended the lives of 6 people, as well as numerous injuries to many others. Brooks reacted to his sentencing by making a long-winded and ridiculous statement that lasted hours, in which he insulted the district attorney. In his statement, he spent more time apologizing that people couldn't see how remorseful he was instead of actually apologizing for what he had done. His sentence was nearly 800 years. We've reached the end of our list. Let us know which sentencing you found the most shocking, and I'll see you in the next countdown.